Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks, and welcome to the Inspiring Leadership series. I just want to share a thought and idea about COVID-19 and the analogy of the ultramarathon. Because some people say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's actually an ultra triathlon. Why do I use the word ultra triathlon? And I think it's got a number of analogies and things that is useful for us as leaders to think about. One, what does finish mean? When we say we're going to go through this crisis and to the finish, where is the finish? Some scientists are saying this crisis could take years. COVID-19 will be with us for a long time. Certainly the economic impact on ourselves and our organizations and the clients I know is massive. We haven't even seen the half of it yet. This year, it's bad. Maybe next year, it might even be worse. We do not know. So decide what finish means. Where are your boundaries? Where are your lines? Where are your check-in points? Have reviews, have times to check, how are you doing? Secondly, where do you want to be when you get to the finish? Where do you want to be? Give yourself some kind of end state, some kind of point that you know that's what we're going to check progress at that stage. The next thing is when you're going into a triathlon or an ultra triathlon. I've done a number of triathlons and I've done ultras, but the analogy is important. You've got to prepare. And many of us were not prepared at all for COVID-19. Some were. Some were doing a lot of risk management and they'd thought about how they handled certain situations, and they were well prepared because they'd seen what had happened in China and how it spread to other countries. And they hadn't been so ignorant as some of us had, who've gone, oh, it'll never get here because SARS and other things, they hadn't really hit us here. They just it's a problem over there. But some organizations, some companies did some really good planning and prepared well for it. Many never did, completely surprised. And as the Stoics say, we should be prepared for all sorts of eventualities, all sorts of worst case scenarios. So prepare now for other big events that are coming your way. What is the worst case scenario that could happen? How can you prepare for that? Then you've got the start of a triathlon. Now, in my cases, when I did the one at Virgin in London, it's the biggest in the UK. And when my particular group of people got into the water, there was a lot of treading water before things began, a bit like in a crisis before COVID-19. We sort of knew something was happening and we were treading water. We wanted to get on, but we couldn't. We weren't allowed to start. But then, bang, when the gun goes off and you begin, there's a lot of thrashing around. You're in water where you can't see very well. The visibility, like in COVID-19, is very short. We didn't know from day to day what was going on. Some were over optimistic and said, this is completely exaggerated. COVID-19 is not going to be a problem at all. Others fearing the worst. This is worse than the Antonine plague, where millions died in the time of Emperor Marcus Aurelius 2,000 years ago. But that lack of visibility and the fact that people were elbowing you and swimming over you and past you, and you were in this panic to get going. And so, like I did in a couple of triathlons in those early days, I rushed it too fast. I went full out for it. Went around the first circuit of the boys, and then I realized I got another circuit. And that is quite demoralizing, and you find you drop right down in your energy and you start to fall back as others start to overtake you. But eventually you get out of that phase and you're moving into transition from one phase to another. And this is what's happened in COVID-19. You're prepared for it. People are working from home. You've got new ways of working, and then transit into the next bit. In the triathlon, it's the bike phase. But some, like me, who went way too fast on that first leg, found getting onto the bike difficult, faffing around in transition, wasting time, crucial time, when other people were zipping away and started to come past you because you'd pushed yourself too hard, you hadn't rested and recovered, you hadn't paced yourself for a triathlon, an ultra triathlon. And it's almost as if you don't know what the distances are. You're just going for it. And there's a bike ride of indeterminate length, a swim of indeterminate length, and at the end, a run of indeterminate length. But you've got to look after your health, well-being. You've got to get your sleep, and you've got to eat properly and fill yourself with the right kind of things that will power you for the long term. You've got to look after your mental health, your physical health in a crisis, particularly COVID-19. And then again, before the final run, you've got a transition where you're going from the bike where you've been doing certain motions to running, which needs a completely new way of thinking, working, and moving. And again, that's like in COVID-19, there's going to be another phase where you're going to have to operate differently. And that's probably going to be the way you're going to be thereafter for a period of time, for some years. So a little thought to help you as inspiring leaders lead your teams in these difficult times. They're looking to you. Courage and confidence is contagious, so is fear. Make sure you pass the right message out and people believe in you because you're being yourself and you're being authentic. Thank you. Enjoy it. And I hope you like the series.